We hope you will enjoy watching this film. By the time you land at one of the 4 Dominican international airports, you will have left your day-to-day European lifestyle, about 7,700 kilometers behind you. Your traveling time was a blink of an eye compared to the time it took Columbus to make this trip. As Columbus, after his difficult trip, first set eyes on this country, he exclaimed, "Look and behold, the island of Hispaniola, the most beautiful land seen through human eyes." First, we would like to show you the central northern coast. Let's take a look at Puerto Plata, Sosúa and Cabarete. Puerto Plata is the biggest city on the northern coast and has an estimated 300,000 inhabitants and was founded by Nicolas de Ovando. In those days, the harbour was a popular port of call for big ships. This was where they could load up with fresh water and provisions, or have repairs done. Puerto Plata, however, relatively quickly developed into a hiding place for smugglers and pirates. In 1590, this caused the King of Spain to order the complete destruction of the colony. Built in 1577, the Fortaleza San Felipe, a fortress at the entrance of the harbour, served as a prison for a long time. Juan Pablo Duarte, one of the 3 Dominican national heroes, was one of the many involuntary guests behind these walls in 1844. It took until the middle of the 18th century for Puerto Plata to be colonized again. The town soon became of significant importance as a trading post. There are many old wooden houses in this town. Some are well maintained and others are not. The Parque Central is in the center of town. In the 1880s, the pavilion Glorieta Victoriana was built in the center of this park. The famous Dominican Museum of Amber is housed in a beautiful colonial-style villa. Its signs remind you of the movie Jurassic Park, in which the Dominican Republic and its amber deposits play a role. Sosúa, a town which used to be a sleepy fishing village, is about 30 kilometers east from Puerto Plata. Today, this town is one of the most visited tourist centers in the Dominican Republic. It is divided into 2 by 1 kilometer wide sandy beach. Cabarete is another 15 kilometers to the east. Water sports are the #1 attraction in this town. The main road runs parallel to the beach and offers some nice shopping. The beach is about 2 kilometers long and 70 meters wide, and has a fair number of lively restaurants and bars. One could spend hours here admiring the advanced kite surfers and feeling sorry for the beginners. Cabarete is one of the most visited kitesurfing destinations in the Caribbean. The World Cup is held here every year. Now let's travel west from Puerto Plata. The further we move away from the capital, the more dry and barren the land gets. Though if you want to look for the gold treasures left behind by the pirates, you will come to the right place. Playa Cofresí is supposed to contain the gold treasure left behind by the pirate it was named after. Columbus was forced to build one of his first colonies here, as one of his ships, the Santa Maria, ran aground while looking for a good place to anchor. He had to leave part of his crew behind. He left them with the task of building a fortress. But these men got into battles with the Taínos, the original inhabitants of the Dominican Republic. The Taínos ended up killing Columbus's men. In La Navidad, their fortress was destroyed. When Columbus came back from Spain and saw all the harm that had been done, he moved further east and built a new colony called La Isabela. Its foundations can still be visited today. This is an old copper plate on which the first meetings between Columbus and the Aborigines were recorded. Monte Cristi is close to the Haitian border, a sleepy town with approximately 111,000 inhabitants. Their main source of income is salt. This is produced by evaporating the ocean water in the nearby salt flats. Right near the coast is El Morro, a mountain which is about 237 meters high. From here, one can get a great view of the coast, the scenery, and the east side of the National Park of Monte Cristi. The road along this national park leads to the border crossing to Haiti. From there on, it is about 100 kilometers through the cactus-grown scenery to the harbor town of Capisan. Capisan, also known as Le Cap, is the second largest city in Haiti and the most significant historical place on this island state. The foundation of this town goes back to the year of 1670, when pirates made a base here. Le Cap soon grew to be one of France's richest colony towns. At the time, it was also called Little Paris, until in the 1842 it was completely destroyed by an earthquake. Even though the Haitians and the Dominicans share the island of Hispaniola, there are very big differences between them. It starts with language. Here in Haiti, they speak French and Creole respectively. The population is very dark-skinned. This has to do with the fact that the French colonial masters scarcely mixed with their African slaves. Until today, the Haitian population has held on to many of its African traditions. This African influence is especially well observed at the numerous markets in town. Aside from the stands that offer the traditional selection of horticultural products, there are also the typical Haitian handmade pieces of art, and the stands with life's day-to-day necessities. This oil lamp shop produces the lamps right here on the spot. They are manufactured out of old milk cartons. The meat market, in particular, is a completely new experience compared to European standards. For centuries, Haiti was ruthlessly exploited by many. In our century, it was father and son Duvalier, also famous, or rather ill-famed, under the names of Papa Doc and Baby Doc. Before them, there were the colonial masters. In 1806, after Haiti's declaration of independence, they were followed by the self-proclaimed King Henri Christophe. This man suffered from an advanced case of paranoia. His fear of being invaded by the French through Napoleon caused him to build a citadel on top of a mountain. This fortress was completed in 1817. Its construction of 45 meters high and 4 meters thick walls cost the lives of nearly 20,000 Haitians. It is said that King Henri, because of a continuous shortage of water, gave orders to use the blood of dead workers to mix the mortar. The citadel contained about 600 cannons ready to be fired, and 250,000 cannonballs, which the Haitians had captured from the Spanish, English, and French ships. No shot was ever fired at the enemy. In addition, King Henri had a total of 9 houses built. The most impressive was called Saint-Souci. The majority of these buildings were destroyed by the earthquake in 1842. All that's left to remind us of the beauties of the past are the ruins of today. Moving back to the north coast of the Dominican Republic, we find a downright lavish, lush kind of vegetation. Arriving in Rio San Juan, it is definitely worth making a left turn to visit the Gris-Gris Lagoon. Little boats leave the dock and take you through the lagoon, which is surrounded by a mangrove forest. The lagoon, with its 70-centimeter deep crystal clear waters, make you think you're in another world. After getting back to the harbour, a ride along the coast leads to the 1-kilometer Playa Grande. Here, one has food together with the locals in an open-air restaurant, whilst watching the Dominican ladies cook on a grill made from the rim of a car's tire. Continuing in the direction of Nagua, the road leads past miles and miles of beach and coconut trees. As the road runs further inland, rice fields start appearing left and right. The Dominicans eat lots of rice. It is mostly eaten with chicken, but they also eat it with beef, goat's meat, and pork. After the harvest, the rice is often laid out to dry along the side of the road. There is an estimated 30 million coconut trees on the peninsula of Samana. The majority of Samanar's inhabitants earn their living with the fruits of the coconut palm. There are less tree climbers to be spotted nowadays. They now harvest the coconuts with long rods. At last we reach Santa Barbara de Samaná. Here in the harbour, there is always a selection of small sailboats to large yachts moored. The best way to explore Samaná is by rickshaw, motor concho. This is the only place where you will see them. The tourists often visit the beaches of the nearby island of Cayo Levantado. In the harbour, they get on one of the speedboats to the island, which is 5 miles away from the coast and can be reached within a few minutes. It is said to be the place where the world-famous Bacardi commercial was recorded. This, of course, is claimed by pretty much every island in the Caribbean. Every year, hundreds of humpback whales come to the Bay of Samaná to mate. With any luck, they can sometimes be spotted off the island. Crossing the mountain range that separates the south and the north coast of the peninsula is a road that gives you a beautiful view of the lush vegetation. One should take time and stop, for the view here is simply breathtaking. At the north end coast we arrive in Las Terrenas. The average Las Terrenas vacationer